Hey there.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, cool.
What a beautiful day.
Oh, tell me about it.
Man. So thanks for ordering the Enneagram Taxi.
Sure, man. Happy to be on board.
The first question always is, do you know your type?
Yeah, I'm a 6 wing 5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, see, thanks for sharing that, because that's honestly, that's where we have to start, because
Okay.
that's your GPS location.
Sure.
That's like,
All
where
right.
you start, Great. Well, where are we headed to today?
Yeah, I guess we can, you want to go to Crump Park?
That sounds wonderful.
And, that's always a fun place.
It is. Indeed.
If you're listening to this on the Whimsicast podcast, you're going to remember Logan from episode 3. I interviewed him back then. So now here we are, about 2 years later, with Logan again, and this is what he's up to now, this Enneagram Taxi. So Logan, why don't you tell me a little bit about the Enneagram Taxi? What made you start it, and what's the idea?
Spending a lot of my days driving around with Lyft, then clocking out, if you will, on the app, and then going into a coaching session with a client. Mm-hmm. It got me to thinking, about like the similarities between those two things that I do and that are a work for me. I get to spend time with people. It's wonderful. But the other thing is Enneagram coaching, which is actually how I am like heavily involved with the Enneagram. So Enneagram and Taxi, for me, would highlight an aspect that I tell all of my clients, because they're not, we're in a session together, they might not even be thinking about this, and it helps them to think of the metaphor of like, hey, it's almost like the Enneagram is like a taxi. Mm-hmm. We get into it together, we figure out, what your type is, almost like where your, starting point is, and then in the whole, coaching, conversations over a while, we set an aim, we set a goal, destination of like where you'd like to end up. And it's like the Enneagram is the vehicle that we then use to help go from here to there. I'm
really curious to what the average episode is going to sound like. So how are you going to go about this? It's just a list of questions that you ask each person, and can you throw some of those my way?
Sure, absolutely.
Cool.
So so the idea is, picking up friends that I would love to have in my taxi, and that I would love to have a talk about the Enneagram with, and about the city, so get to know a little bit about them, and their connection in the city, and then get to know a little bit about, who they are, with what type they lead on the Enneagram, and how that affects then their work. So we talk a little bit about their work. Each of us has this story that we find ourselves in, and also that we're telling ourselves, and we're also different, and we see life, through a different lens, and it's just fascinating to me. So, just to be able to capture that, and then I'm going to wrap it all up with my friend Casey Buckland. She is an Enneagram enthusiast and also an Enneagram coaching client of mine, and we will be able to she'll be able to kind of fact check a little bit. If for some reason I'm out there behind the wheel and I just kind of get the rambling, as I do sometimes, and I might say something that might, need an explanation or a context, then I can provide that at the end. I'll always open it up like this.
Okay.
So, got some friends over at Ennea app.
Okay.
And my coaching is literally powered by Ennea app. So if you don't have it, if you've never heard of it, man, go to the App Store. It comes free, and then there's a little bit, like maybe $2.99 upgrade, but it's so worth it. It's really, really well done. But even the free version is amazing. So
cool.
I would start always with a quote. Okay. So the quote on the Ennea app, when you open it up, it first has this in quotation marks: "Who cares if the glass is half empty or half full? It will break anyway."
Okay.
What does that say to you as a type 6? Is there any kind of resonance there?
Oh, well, because I'm a wing 5, I'm going to analyze the heck out of this.
As you would.
So whether the glass is half empty or half full, it's going to break anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that feels very comfortable about that to me, because I tend to live my life that way these days. Glass is half empty or half full, it's all going to break anyway. Our life's temporary, so there's only so much we can do anyway.
Yeah.
Or, hey, that person, I don't like what they're doing, but I can't control everybody. I can only control myself. So it kind of all goes, falls in the same vein, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that sheds a lot of light on it. And I love how you said 6 wing 5, of course, because, 6 wing 7 would answer that in a different way.
How would they answer it?
Who knows, but it would be more along the sense of smack dab in the middle, like it resonates, but then instead of necessarily being overly analytical, maybe there's a joke mixed into there, or maybe there's but I've already planned for that. So, and I'm actively planning. I have my first aid kit. I know where it is.
Okay.
Sort of thing, And
I don't have a plan. I seldom have a plan for anything. I live my life a day at a time. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
I'm not saying that's the best way to do things.
Right.
But,
Right.
I spend a lot of effort trying to find a healthy balance between that. I would call that a gift, I think.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I realize that there are some parts of my life where I need to be the opposite and do some planning. So my wife and I have actually gotten better about that the last month or two.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it feels good because she is a planner.
Man, I hear you.
She is a 2. She's an Enneagram 2.
Wow.
Yep.
The giver trooper couple.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
We both like to help.
Yeah. Oh, I
Big
can
helpers,
see that.
but we just do it different ways. And if you don't have a good perspective on that, it can be very frustrating. There's always the possibility of us butting heads, about things, even though we want the same thing in the end.
Right.
It's natural for us to do that differently.
Yeah. So the 6 has a little bit in the Enneagram world, it's sort of split down the middle. And they would talk about phobic type 6s.
Okay.
Which would, kind of be those who would kind of go away from what they're afraid of. So maybe not go into action if, let's think about that, let's hold, let's wait. And then split down the middle there is the counterphobic type 6, which is like, let's get this over with. I might be afraid of something, so let me go ahead and get her done. Like, let's bring it on. Bring on the storm. Maybe these are the type 6s that look like type 8s, sometimes, the counterphobics, because they seem fearless. But in a sense, what they both report is that, but the anchor, like what is controlling my thinking on the inside, which is invisible to all the rest of us, is anxiety. Right. And what I might be fearful of. How about for you? Where would you fall on the phobic or counterphobic? What resonates more with you?
For years, I would say that I was more phobic. There are some things that are always going to be phobias to me. Like, I just know I'm always going to be terrified of heights, and that's never going to change. And I'm comfortable with that. Yeah. And I don't even care anymore if I ever overcome that. Wow. But there are some things about like what we're doing right now. Yeah. 20 years ago, you would have a very hard time getting to know me, carrying on a conversation with me in a public setting. Yeah. I was not this person 20 years ago. Wow. For me, over the years, I've learned to put myself out there, I guess. And, and thank God I did, because it's grown me as an individual. It's grown my career. I conduct interviews now with people. Yeah, you do. And it's like, if you would have asked me that 20 years ago, I'd say you're crazy. So I think I definitely see that. I'd never heard that mentioned before about the phobic and non-phobic 6s, but I can totally see that. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned your career. Yeah. So in what you do, like, how would you describe what it is that you do these days?
Well, my day job, I am a video producer, but I also do some podcasting, with that job, and my side job, which is the same thing, just for different clients.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this is a 6 thing, but I have always had very low self-esteem. And it sort of masquerades itself in humility sometimes. Like I will use, I'm just trying to be humble, as like an excuse. Not to take action or be more outgoing or seize something that could really be a blessing to me and my family.
Yeah.
Opportunities that I would have never seized before.
Yeah.
Now I do so because I'm realizing, okay, I can still feel like I deserve things or feel like I can attain things without coming across as somebody who's trying to outdo somebody else or hoard, all this attention or whatever goes on in my brain sometimes.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking about these things, excuses not to do things.
Right.
I'm able to do that now because of that, because of just maturity and awareness and thinking about these things in a healthy way.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of effort. It's quite frankly, it's draining sometimes.
I bet.
But, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Yeah. In the Enneagram community, it comes up a lot that what is evident to everyone else, except for the 6, is what is amazing about you. Like we just, like the rest of us, it's not lost on us. We're all in awe. Like we get it. It's amazing. And for some reason, and it fails not. Like I've noticed this with all my 6 clients and my 6, beloved wife. For some reason, it's really hard for a 6 to remember or to think about on their own actively about what's good about themselves. And I don't know why that is, but does that also show up for you? Does that ring true?
Yeah, for sure. And a few weeks ago, you and I had a little meeting.
That's right. That's right.
Where I guess you could call it like a spiritual guidance meeting, where you just kind of let me talk, and then you interject a few things here and there. But for the most part, and the one thing that you said that was sort of my action step between that time and whenever we talk again, was anytime I feel like I'm in a challenging situation, tell myself that it's always okay to trust myself. And so I do that. I've been doing that the last few weeks, and it's really been healthy for me because I don't naturally do that at all. I'm always thinking about how can I just blend in, or what can I do to keep the peace. But it's almost always I'm going to overlook myself and focus on other people, whether it's what do they think about me, or what can I do for them to make them happy, to keep the peace. So it is very hard for me to think about myself, but because I'm making that phrase that you taught me something that I refer to now, not all the time, but most of the times I remember to do this. If I put that first, then I notice it's like a muscle that I'm exercising now. It's feeling more natural to stop and ask myself that.
Oh man. In your work, interviewing people and in your video editing and beyond, is there anything about being a 6 that might stand out to you? Like how it flavors, like how you do what you do? Or
one thing I'm finding is I find it very easy to relate to people of different walks of life. In the Bible, the Apostle Paul talks about being all things to all people, and I don't know if that's a struggle for people who aren't 6s, but for me, it feels very natural. And sometimes I will even, without knowing it at the time, sort of change my mannerisms, change the way that I talk. I'll even lose my Kentucky accent sometimes, or it will become richer if I'm around somebody that's more Southern. There's all these things that I do without really noticing that the better I get about with my career and the more I'm aware of myself and where I fit in, the better I've become about adapting to situations. Then the wing side, the 5 side, is the more analytical side. So spur of the moment stuff doesn't happen as easily, but if I have the chance to like process and write things down and plan, not a strong suit of mine, but when I have that time to do those things, I would say that I might even be better than most at what I do in that aspect of being able to relate to people, but also figure out how to like target how my approach towards those people, or even plan for after what the editing, the finished product is going to look like.
Right.
I'm able to see past what's happening now, and as I'm interviewing somebody or as I'm filming something, I'm able to adjust and with the conversation, or if I'm doing video, I'm able to adjust like a shot or how things are going to appear visually.
Right.
I think those are. Yeah. That's how it's helped.
That's huge.
My career.
And I mean, I just want to highlight this, but like, you're being able to connect and be at peace and like see other points of view. That's the growth point of the type 6. So that's like you growing, you unfolding into health. 6 goes to 9, like on the Enneagram shape. So if you're on the Ennea app or if you have it in front of you, just look at that. You go against an arrow. There's a connection right there. It's the inner triangle that sort of interlinks 6, 3, and 9. And 6 goes to 9 in health and growth, and 9's all about seeing everyone's point of view and blending. You could say merging with the agenda of other people, which is hard for some people, which is hard for most people. But to healthy 6s who are growing and unfolding in their consciousness, in their awareness, as you so beautifully said, part of your work, then that is an enormously big thing. And we all love that about you 6s, by the way. So and it's not lost on us. Like you have that capacity to, through the work that you do, to create true peace, and we're all aware that takes bravery and courage, and we all see you as someone who is really courageous and brave, because man, that's probably the hardest place, because you got more than 2 people, you got more than 2 opinions, and you usually have conflict at some point. And so being able to do what you said is amazing.
So 9 would be the healthy, a sign that things are going healthy in a healthy direction. What is the 3? If a 6 is not going in a healthy direction, what aspects of the 3 does that individual take on?
The usually very thoughtful, maybe worst case scenario, contemplating, observant, aware. 6 will, under stress, take on some of the moderate to low 3 qualities, which make it out of touch with their own emotions, because emotions get in the way of getting the job done. And like make it so that we just kind of power through, and we don't even, it's not like we don't even discard our emotions. It's almost like they're dialed out. They're not present. They're not even available. And that, and then a focus only on performance. And so already anxious 6s, or 6s who have a lot of anxiety as a backdrop, at this point have performance anxiety. So speaking in front of people or whatever the performance that is called for is now suddenly mixed with the 6, and it's like, well, what are they going to say? What do they think? What that? And it just paranoia, of sorts, So that's what it would look like, sort of in, like, I guess you could say unhealth, but a really nifty missing piece is that once you go to the high side of 9, the high side of 3 is open for you.
Oh, okay.
And that's missing for a lot of 6s, because then guess what the high side of 3 is?
What's that?
Your own podcast. Getting stuff done.
Sure.
Not minding, because you've merged with this deeper sense of embodiment and peace at 9. You now, 6 to 3 has this open connection where it's safe to be in the limelight.
Cool.
It's authentic to be in the limelight now.
It's very neat.
Yeah, so there we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there.
No,
you were about to ask a question.
I love it.
Yeah.
So the question I was going to ask is, in your life now, and in your work, could you tell me one thing that you used to be certain about?
This is hard for me to answer because I'm not an opinionated person.
That's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's
Yeah.
a great 6th thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that this is hard is the 6th thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I used to be certain that I was always going to be somebody who always felt like I didn't belong. From the time that I was a fairly young kid, all the way through my young adult years, and even to this day, there are times where I don't feel like I belong in a lot of places I go. And I've known about that aspect of myself for a while, but for a long time I felt like that was a weakness because there are maybe people on the outside who see that about me and say this person isn't genuine because one minute they're talking to this person and they're this, but then they get around this other person and they're like not that anymore. I used to be certain that was not only a weakness, but to dig even deeper, because that's who I am as a person. That kind of makes me like a bit of an outcast, right?
Wow.
I don't consider myself to be an outcast most of the time anymore. Now, there's some people that I see out in public, and maybe it's because of experiences in the past with certain people, or sometimes I will automatically draw a conclusion about somebody, and I'm not even going to approach that person. I'm not going to talk to them. If they talk to me, I might be very, very cold towards them. But now, because of how I view myself as that adaptability being a strength instead of a weakness, I feel like I'm a little more open to that, to different types of people. I don't have to be forced into this relationship with somebody to realize, oh no, I actually get along with them really well. I'm a little more outspoken, I'm a little more comfortable with that. And when I feel myself withdrawing or putting up a wall, there's something inside me now that thinks about that a little more. Like, okay, this is how you are though. So you can do this or you can do that. So I used to be certain that I didn't really fit anywhere.
Wow.
And now I realize that I actually fit with more people than most, maybe, because of that ability to adapt. And it's just something that I need to keep working.
Man.
Yeah.
Again, what a beautiful... Thanks for taking me here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I love this. Also, man, golly, so great talking to you just about Enneagram stuff. I feel like I just had a master class about E6. Specifically E6 wing 5.
Cool.
So just really, really neat. Man, thank you for that. Thank you for your time.
Sure,
and I know we're heading
Thank you.
back, and I just wanted to, I just wanted to ask you what, if you could sum it up, and say it, as an answer to the question, what gives you hope, And this can be business relationships and love relationships. It can be everything. You can address it all. But right now, 2019, here we are, September. What gives you hope?
Somebody told me once that the Enneagram 6 was like a walking contradiction.
Ooh.
And I always thought there was something wrong with me, But, and my wife will tell you that there's oftentimes she thinks there's something wrong with me because she can't wrap her head around my thought process most of the time. I have a lot of hope that I'm going to be okay, man.
That's deep right there.
I am such an awkward person sometimes. I feel like I'm growing into my skin though. I'm comfortable with the things about me that are a bit of a mystery to other people. And then even deeper, there's things about myself that have always been a mystery that now my eyes are starting to become open, and I'm able to sort of, for once in my life, grab the bull by the horns and pursue things. That's not been my strong suit in the past. I've spent the greater part of my life sort of not seizing any opportunities and just letting life pass me by, and thinking that I'm just an easygoing person. But really, for the most part, I'm just very passive, and I just have missed so many opportunities because I have been so scared about what would happen if I put myself first, or not even put myself first, but get to know myself. There's a that's the difference.
Wow.
Do you put yourself first, and are you selfish? Or do you take the time to become familiar with yourself so you're comfortable in your own skin? And that way, you can function in a way where you're taking advantage of these opportunities,
Right.
and still not being a big jerk. I've been so scared all this time of what people are going to think of me. But for the most part, I'm just really hopeful that, man, I could actually start playing into some of my strengths now and not be so concerned about how other people are going to perceive that. Even though I've wasted a lot of my life, I feel like. And even though there's some regrets there, I still feel like I've got so much that I can do for the next 40, 50 years.
You now have this opportunity with this microphone here in the Enneagram Taxi to speak to all the other Enneagram 6s that are listening. Is there any kind of parting words that you would like to say to them? You know, out of loyalty and solidarity? To keep on allowing yourself to be important, because it doesn't come naturally. But if you start there and weather that discomfort, eventually it will become second nature. And what I'm finding is that you can be who you have truly been called to be, and as a result of that, you're going to accomplish what your heart is, which is to contribute to the people around you, be truly beneficial in a genuine way. My wife often says that you can't be a blessing to the people around you until you take care of yourself first. That applies to the Enneagram 6 very well, because even though it doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't mean that it's not right. That's so good. As an Enneagram type 2, I don't know if there's a little bit more space in the Enneagram type 6 tribe, but if I could change my type, I would hope that y'all would accept me. That would help me get out of bed in the morning like that. So thank you. That's beautiful.
Man,
and it's been wonderful having you in the Enneagram Taxi. Here we are.
Well, man, thanks for letting me talk to you about it. It's been great catching up with you again. I know that the people who listen to Whimsicast will be excited when this episode pops up in their iTunes.
You know, thanks for allowing me to, give you a ride in the Enneagram Taxi in this way.
I did not picture you as a Lamborghini guy, but this is a very nice car.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, who knew that Tesla and Lamborghini came together to create this? So, they all want to see it now. It's a prototype, people. It's a prototype.
Thanks for joining us today on Whimsicast. For more information about the Enneagram Taxi podcast, you'll be able to search that on iTunes. You can also find a link to that in the show notes of this episode. Today's episode was produced by Stephen R. Sanders. To dig into the music used in today's podcast, as well as past podcast episodes of Whimsicast, you can find all that at the Whimsicast SoundCloud page. And most importantly, Logan Jones is available for Enneagram coaching. You can book an appointment with him at loganjonescoaching.com.